your host, Jim Phillips. And our first guest this week is trying to help with the need for foster homes for children, helping foster kids get settled. Ron Bouchard, the founder of a group called Avion Cares. Welcome, Mr. Bouchard.
Welcome. Thank you for having me.
What's the mission here? Tell us a little bit about Avion Cares. What is it? How does it work?
Well, Avion Cares is a nonprofit foundation, which with current pending 501c3 status, whose mission is to daily find active and creative solutions for displaced members of our community, people who are displaced because of homelessness or because of foster care, maybe because they're battered. So what we do is we get community leaders involved and individuals to solve what is a community problem, because either these individuals are going to grow up to be contributing citizens or they're going to be broken adults.
So you have taken this as your mission. You are a realtor in Taunton. And so is this foundation part of your business, or is it a separate entity? Tell me about that.
It's a completely separate entity. But I've always told my agents that doing real estate is great. It's an income, but it's not a purpose. So in order to find fulfillment, the only way you can find fulfillment is doing for others. So I've built it into my training in my office. This was just a natural offshoot. Yeah. And oddly enough, when I was 18 years old, I told many people that I wanted to open up a orphanage, which obviously don't exist anymore. But right. So this has been something that's been hidden in the psyche for a very long time.
Ron Bouchard, my guest. So I visited your website and I saw like 3 or 4 main goals that you're working on, including this foster care aspect. It seems like an awful lot to bite into, to be frank. A lot of issues, and we all know the issues here in southeastern Mass especially, but it seems like an awful lot for you to tackle. Are you going to be doing this in addition to your running your realty office, or do you have some help?
I have a lot of help. We have lots of volunteers. We already have a board of directors, so have lots of help. And I don't plan on doing it all myself. In fact, each one of the project initiatives, which I have 5, will have their own individual teams. So they'll be the ones who come up with the initiatives and and how they're going to help that particular community, and they'll carry it out themselves with the direction of the board. I'm going to be involved personally with the Project Care initiative, which is for foster care children.
Okay. Why you? Why did you pick that one? I sense there's maybe a personal story here. If you want to share it, I think we'd like to hear it.
Actually, it's not really much of a story. I've always wanted to work with kids, and I've volunteered all my life. It was just out of need of doing more. And one day I was talking in my office with my business partner, and we were discussing the fact that I wanted to help foster children, and it was something he knew about. One of my agents also sat down and was talking to him on the other side, which I didn't know about helping foster care. So he said, hey, you two need to connect. So Avion Cares was already coming into effect, but I didn't really have any project initiatives. And that was the first project initiative. We came together, we created our mission for Project Care, and we've carried it out. And it's been extremely successful. I think that members of the community are looking to help. They just don't know how. So we have a lot of businesses up and down 138 in Somerset, all the way up to Swansea and Fall River, all the way to Taunton, who are dying to help.
Are you looking to outreach to New Bedford, Fall River?
New Bedford is actually our first main goal. We're working with the DCF office in Fall River, and DCF office in Fall River handles New Bedford, Fall River, Swansea, Somerset, Westport. So they handle pretty much this region. And where I grew up in this area, it makes sense that this is where we start.
The foster care issue is really an immense problem in Massachusetts.
It is.
People I know can recall not too long ago reading about children who have died horrible deaths, ignored by their parents, or in some cases murdered by their parents or boyfriends. I mean, it's just a terrible thing. And you wonder how they get by, how these cases get by the foster care system. Well, I can tell you one reason is that they just have a lot of cases. There are a lot of cases with troubled households here in Massachusetts. Now, if those kids are removed from those households, they will likely go into the foster care system, where they will try and find a foster home for these kids. But that isn't always the greatest thing. That isn't always a real solid background for these kids. It's not always the great place. Some of it is. Some of it great. But if you have, in many cases, they have multiple foster kids in these homes. And, it can be an issue. How is your organization going to help with this problem? What's your plan?
We have a 3-tier approach to helping kids in foster care. The first of which is when they're first initially taken from the home, obviously it's very, very quick and very sudden, especially for the child. They take their belongings, should they have any, and all their belongings are thrown into trash bags, which I would think it would make me feel like I was thrown away. And so these children who have done nothing, they're guiltless, are taken from the only home they've known, usually in the dead of night and the wee hours of the morning, whisked off to somewhere where they've never been, with people they've never seen before, and all their belongings stuffed in a trash bag. So we figured out that the only way we could help them is at each step of the transition. So the first step is when they're removed, we don't think it's right that children should have their stuff thrown in a trash bag. So we have care packages. We give them care packages in the form of a duffel bag, so their belongings get thrown into a duffel bag, which is a more reasonable form of luggage for a child. Mm-hmm. And also, because they're whisked away to DCF offices, they have nothing to do. They wait hours and hours and hours before they're placed. We're also going to be giving them care packages full of something for them to do: coloring books, crayons, teddy bears. One of my ambassadors, which is what we call our volunteers, is thinking about getting Kindles. So she's trying to get Amazon to donate Kindles so they can have their own Kindle, which would be entertaining while they're waiting. They can read books. They can play games. So that's the first tier, is care packages. The second way we want to help them is to increase the number of foster care placements that they have. One of the major travesties is that there are not enough foster care homes, so the kids are cycled. In many cases, they spend only one night in one particular home. So they don't learn to be able to trust or build a relationship with anybody. There's no time to do that. And that's largely because we have no homes for them to go to. Because of the opioid crisis, it's burdening an already overwhelmed system. So where we used to have 20 cases per DCF officer, we have between 29 and 50. So they do their best to deal with the situation, but a lot of kids fall through the cracks.
Yeah, and we've seen some of that just by reading the news over the past few years. Very sad situation. So this is a growing problem, caseload. Now, I know several administrations have tried to address it, putting money into the system, hiring more people. It never seems to meet all the needs all the time. So what is your group doing now? You mentioned these duffel bags. You are now raising funds or raising contributions. Tell me about that.
We're doing multiple things. We're having awareness events. As a matter of fact, we had one last weekend where we stood in front of Taunton Green in Taunton, Mass., and we held signs, and kids held trash bags, which pretty much shocked the community because they don't see it. It happens in secret, so we try to bring awareness. But on August 22nd, we're having a donation drive in Swansea Walmart where we're going to be collecting a lot of the items we need for these care packages. Toiletries.
Toys, school supplies, blankets, books, etc., to help these children while they're in transition. Do you have any idea how many of these transitions happen in a month, let's say, in Massachusetts?
Well, there's 8,000 kids in the foster care system any given year in Massachusetts, 428,000 in the United States, and 2,000 residential care, 8,000 in foster care, and I think we add about 4,000 a year. So we're looking at each office is different, but I know the the New Bedford office has about 41 cases a month.
Okay. You're listening to Townsquare Sunday. My guest is Ron Bouchard of Avion Cares, which is an organization that submitted paperwork to become an official 501c3 nonprofit organization. When do you expect to officially get off the ground? I know you're off the ground now, you're up and running, but...
Well, we are already legally a corporation,
yep.
And we already have our charity paperwork. 501c3 status, we will probably be done with that probably November.
Okay, so you should have that in hand.
Yeah.
According to your website, your projects so far include, as you mentioned, Project Care for foster children, Project Shield for domestic violence, Project Thanks for homeless veterans, and Project Homebound for homeless residents. Also Project Rover for pets in need of adoption. I'll say that again. That is a lot to chew on. That is. But you've got teams of people, I guess, lined up ready to go on these things.
In fact, Project Homebound was originally supposed to be, and things change as we go through the process, but Project Homebound was originally going to be for homeless, but it's now going to be, because I have a physical therapist and an occupational therapist going to be taking that over. It's going to be for elderly and disabled people who are in their houses and being threatened with having to leave because of their disabilities.
Mr. Bouchard, do you have a building you work out of, or is it the realty office for now?
Realty office, my house, anywhere we can go. I mean, we're on the road most of the time, so we don't really need we do need physical space for the storage, but other than that, wherever we sit down.
Yeah, right. You hope to have a separate building for this at some point?
Yeah, we will. Yeah. We'll have a separate building at one point, especially because our third initiative is going to be a CASA program. Now, unfortunately, in Bristol County and Plymouth County, there is no such thing as a CASA program, where it's everywhere else in the country. And a CASA, a court-appointed special advocacy program. So to prevent these kids from falling through the cracks, a CASA program would give each individual child an advocate that they would speak to, and that would be the voice of that child, so that they have one constant in their life until they're adopted. And I think that's very, very important. And it also holds everybody accountable. It holds foster care parents accountable, holds the foster care system accountable, and they answer to the judges. So we're trying to establish a court-appointed special advocacy program here in Bristol and Plymouth counties. So that's probably the biggest thing we're going to be taking on. We have people bending over backwards to try to help us with these care packages. And right now, we're in desperate need of infant and baby items, because kids will be taken away from their parents as soon as they're born. They spend in the hospital detoxing from the opioid crisis, and then they go right into foster care, and they have nothing. They'll be handed over to it.
What's the percentage of cases like that?
They're too new. Usually there's 0 cases of babies, but it's a growing crisis. In fact, we're going to be adding an initiative rather soon for baby huggers. Just to go into the hospitals and just hold the babies, because there's nobody to do that.
It happens, St. Luke's Hospital in New Bedford here did have a rockers program, had somebody come in and rock babies. And I think that that's probably a good idea to do that. So you're up and running. Why don't you run down for us again, repeat the donation drive information.
The donation drive is going to be held on August 22nd at the Swansea Walmart from 9 a.m. to 2. And it's going to be outside the store, and we're going to be there to not only collect donations, but to meet people who are interested in being adoptive parents. If they're interested in being an adoptive parent now, they can go on our website, www.avioncares.org, and they can sign up. And as soon as they do so, I will take that information, I will give it to the appropriate DCF office, and they'll be in contact with them. Also, if they're interested in rolling up their sleeves and getting their hands dirty, because we like to get the community involved in what is going to be a community problem, they can also go to the website at www.avioncares.org and sign up to be a volunteer.
It is a tremendous problem, and I think many people don't understand that what happens to a youngster in their first 6 months of life may decide what's going to happen the rest of the way. And I know, I've seen it, and you've got to, this is a problem that I know that state officials want to keep kids with families, but sometimes that's just not possible. And those are the 5,000 to 8,000 kids, as roughly 5,000 children entering the foster care system each year in Massachusetts. It's an astounding number. And clearly it's a problem for everybody. Everybody's got to step up and do something about it, no question. Avion Cares. Avion is spelled A-V-I-O-N, Cares, CARES.org, and you can get more information off the website. And don't forget the fundraiser, which is Tuesday, not really fundraiser, donation, August 22nd at Walmart, the Supercenter there in Swansea, Massachusetts, from 9 to 2. You want to donate some supplies or, duffel bags or backpacks, whatever you can afford, would be greatly appreciated. Ron Bouchard, thanks very much for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
And good luck with this.